Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement. Now, earlier today I saw a bit of news that hasn't really made its way through the rest of the physical media fan base and news outlets, but it's one that caught my attention, and it's from a fairly reputable and trustworthy source, though this source has been incorrect in the past. But they had an exclusive that Apple TV was planning to selectively, going forward, starting with F1, the new Brad Pitt film coming out this summer, to start releasing physical media, I assume through various other companies, while retaining the streaming rights. For those who may not be aware, I think the only thing that is ever physically released from Apple TV is Severance Season 1, and I don't know if it got anything higher than a DVD. I know for sure it got a DVD. It may be on Blu-ray, but I think outside of Severance, I don't think anything produced by Apple Television, or Apple TV, I suppose is their actual name. I was using their government name, excuse me. Apple TV, I think Severance is the only thing that they physically released in America at the very least. Obviously, Killers of the Flower Moon is the one that this channel, specifically on Our Parents' Basement, we've talked about before. That's the one most people are after. I have an Italian 4K region-free release of it. I've had that for over a year, which has allowed me to have it on my shelf and watch it whenever I choose. But Napoleon, which released right around the same time, also directed by famous, world-renowned director Ridley Scott. Somewhere in a similar category, I think, to Martin Scorsese. He did not get that physical treatment anywhere. And to this day, if you want to watch Napoleon, you can't watch it outside of having an Apple TV subscription. Obviously, there's lesser movies not as pronounced as those two films, such as Wolves, or that one with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, what's the name? I can't remember. But F1 is a film coming out this summer that I was looking forward to seeing. I did not know it was an Apple TV. I thought it was Paramount or Warner Brothers or something. It's Warner Brothers and Apple TV. And this whole time I was under the assumption that that would be coming out fall or around winter, and I could put it on a birthday or Christmas list to get it on 4K and watch it in the comfort of my beloved theater room. But now knowing that it's Apple TV, obviously that throws a wrench in those plans. However, now this other turn of events has been thrown in here as well, where there are potentially physical releases on the horizon, starting with F1 now. Is Apple going to go through another distributor? I would assume so. I assume they would connect with Criterion, who everyone's constantly turned to, waiting for the Killers of the Flower Moon release. Kino Lorber's obviously an option. Shout is an option. Arrow Video is also an option. I assume it probably depends on the title. I could absolutely see Killers of the Flower Moon being a Criterion, same with Napoleon. Wolves is another one I mentioned. That movie will never ever see a Criterion release. I would put a lot of money down on it. It's John Watts. That being said, I would be interested in owning all of the Apple TV films that I have seen physically. Not only did I all enjoy them, I've only seen, the 4. One of them I already own. But I enjoyed them all for what they were. And plus, owning something physically means that you have it forever and it can never get taken away from you. And so that makes me own movies that, while not in the category of the greatest movies of all time that I've ever seen, I would like to revisit them somewhere down the line, and therefore that one-time purchase to have it for the rest of my life is definitely worth it. So as I began to touch on earlier, but then kind of got a little sidetracked, I wonder if Apple TV will be going into their past releases, or if this is strictly going forward. Are we going to see those titles that I mentioned get physically released? I think they're losing out on a lot of money if they don't release Killers of the Flower Moon. I think they would make a lot of money off of that, especially through the Criterion Collection. I know a lot of people are interested. I know a lot of people would go after it, and if they've run any focus groups or test groups or even dipped their toe into the water of physically releasing this, I'm sure they've had tons of feedback saying this is desired, this is what people want. As for the other ones, I don't know if it's there. I don't know. Again, if who would be a distributing company interested. As I said, Criterion. I'm pretty sure you can count some of those other ones out. And again, some of these are made with production companies. Killers of the Flower Moon was partially paid for by Paramount. So is Paramount going to get that release? Warner Brothers with Brad Pitt's F1, are they going to get that release? And what about the TV shows? Severance has been given very, very high praise. The first season is available physically. Will the second season get a release? A lot of people have spoken highly of the studio with Seth Rogen and the like. Is that going to get a physical release? Shrinking, a very popular show that I personally enjoyed during the Apple TV free trial, that has 2 seasons, has a third one coming up. Got Harrison Ford in it. Michael J. Fox is joining season 3. I mean, those people alone could definitely probably swing sale numbers in the positive. So there's a lot of variables kind of in play here, and I think all of these companies are really leaving a lot of money on the table with physical media. Now, as it lies, I don't know how profitable you can be with it. I think it really depends on the title and the exclusivity of that film and who's behind it. But at the same time, studios are kind of doing this to themselves. They're the ones putting movies on streaming services or being allowed to be rented digitally 30 days, 45 days after they originally hit the theater. And then you know that eventually, because every movie studio has an adjacent streamer, that they're eventually going to make it. If it's a Warner Brothers, it'll be on HBO in no time. If it's Paramount, Paramount Plus, you can count on. Universal's got Peacock in their back pocket. And anything and everything can be on Netflix at any point in time. So if that were to be taken away a little bit more, then I think that you would see an influx of revenue in physical media. So Apple TV definitely should go this route. I don't think anyone's holding out to Apple TV ready to cancel it at the drop of a physical release for Killers of the Flower Moon. If you've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, you probably want it physically to have it forever, because why wouldn't you? And I don't think you're holding on to Apple TV to watch it occasionally every 6 months or so at the most. It's a 3-hour movie. Over that takes a lot out of you. So I don't think you're keeping Apple TV on a year-round subscription just for that movie alone. Not to mention, physical media can also make people want to get the streamer, such as if they purchase season 1 and 2 of Shrinking and want to see season 3, and obviously it's going to come out first on Apple TV, and then they get Apple TV to watch it right away. So I feel like physical media is such an aspect that doesn't really take away from your streamer, but if anything, can put more money towards it. Maybe you get it to see these movies sooner because you like what you saw when you purchased the DVD or whatever. So I really think that Apple TV specifically, who I think is making some of the best for streaming content, Netflix films are usually pretty background noise efficient, and that's pretty much it. But of the Apple TV ones I saw, even the mediocre ones I enjoyed. I mean, like I said, I was kind of crapping on John Watts earlier and Wolves, but that's a movie that I did fairly enjoy. Obviously, it has its flaws and it's not perfect, and its budget kind of showcases itself, especially towards the end of the film. But for the most part, I thought it was an enjoyable movie, and for what it was, being a streaming movie, it pleasantly surprised me compared to a lot of what the other stuff that we're given. And as I mentioned earlier, I was really looking forward to seeing F1, and so hopefully that does get a physical release. And I think a lot of other people feel similarly. Now I kind of have to move on to another topic, though, relating to all this, that maybe this is all just a bunch of baloney. And I know I may sound like a 1920s newspaper boy, but maybe it's a bunch of hogwash. Because Apple TV, I think in the past I've seen them directly say that they were going to keep things streaming exclusive. So it's not to say that they can't have a change of heart, especially being one of the worst streamer services out there in terms of the least amount of subscribers. I mean, I think I saw that Netflix makes more in a day than Apple TV does in a month, or some crazy number like that, where the numbers were really dwarfed. So I feel like they're leaving a lot of money on the table. But at the same time, I wouldn't put it past them to still have this mindset that if everything's on the streamer, then that creates a prestigiousness of the content, as well as means that the only way you can watch this stuff is to get to Apple TV. Which brings me to the new movie that recently came out with John Krasinski and Natalie Portman, Fountain of Youth, it's just straight up called, which is by Guy Ritchie, and it looks like a generic piece of trash movie, but I want to see it myself. And is this something that would get a physical media release? I don't really know. Is there an audience there, perhaps? Is everything going to be based off of Apple TV numbers, or is there going to be some kind of measuring of social media and the sort and the amount of traffic a certain topic gets. I don't know how they're going to decide this, especially if they're going to be picky going forward. And I don't know how deep into the catalog they're going to go, but this is definitely something that people want and that people need and that people will sing and buy. I already have Killers of the Flower Moon, the Italian release, but you better believe that if this comes out on Criterion or whatever, I will be there picking it up because, of course, I'm going to get the Criterion Collection, Killers of the Flower Moon. And obviously, I don't own any of the other stuff because it hasn't been released, but you know in your heart of hearts that I will be there purchasing that on day one because I love having movies. I love looking over to my shelf and getting them. I will pick up both copies of my Killers of the Flower Moon and I will look at them and I will laugh and I will sing and I will maybe play them at the same time and watch it twice over with one eye that way and one eye that way, giving myself a headache and a migraine, splitting my brain into two, and having the sound reverb throughout the whole house and so the whole neighborhood can watch it. Was this a big rant that was going nowhere? Absolutely. Long story long, Apple TV rumored to be possibly dipping their toe into the physical media world with Brad Pitt's new movie coming out this summer, F1. And I hope that these rumors are true. I hope that they start releasing physical media. And like I said, this is something that is very intriguing to me. Obviously, physical media is a huge part of my life. I love buying movies. I love having movies, collecting movies, watching movies. And so if I have the opportunity to own these films, I will be able to sleep that much easier at night. And maybe I'll even use these as a total blanket. I'll stack up them as a pillow. I'll pull the other ones over as a blanket. And when I wake up with my neck permanently damaged and having suffered from pneumonia for using plastic cases as a blanket in the middle of winter, I will know that at least I went out my way. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Apple TV potentially moving into the physical media realm. Who might distribute these films for them? And which one are you most looking forward to? And why is it Killers of the Flower Moon? Anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do, and make sure you're here next time so I can see you in my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement.